was that little
Glitch.
yeah sound? I'm trying to figure out
I,
what the you know.
we'll have to ask Chanel. She's the one who put this together, and
All right, well,
she's a genius, so she has her reasons.
all right. Well, we will pursue that at a later date and time. But do I say I'm Brent Leary? Because it feels weird when I say this and
No,
it's not
probably
Thursday at
not.
3.
No.
I am Brent Leary though, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
and I'm also who I am, but I can't. We can't repeat CRM players. That's
Well, we are the CRM player still, even though it isn't Thursday. But
and it's not that show either.
but it's like it's our show on Gears, which we're calling Up the Rabbit Hole, right?
Up from the rabbit hole.
What
Yeah,
it's a word here, a
up the
word
rabbit
there.
hole really, really sounds bad.
Yeah, that doesn't sound the greatest.
No, no, this is a PG rated
So
show.
this is up from the rat. I mean,
That works better.
it does, but still, I mean, I feel like we're peeking our heads.
Well, no, the idea
Like,
is we're getting out from under the massive cost of all of what we're doing here.
yeah, but we're not really getting out from under the cost because the cost is always going to be there.
No, actually, it's really that we fell down the rabbit hole and we are actually looking up from it.
All right, now that makes more
The
sense.
bottom of it.
Now we're gonna have to say that every time we do this show, to begin the show. But this is Up from the Rabbit Hole. He is the venerable Paul Greenberg. I am Brent Leary, and we would love to introduce you to our co-host for Up from the Rabbit Hole. I'm gonna let that because only everybody comes on a show that we're on. They really come on for the introduction. So I am going to turn it over to you to introduce to the world our new co-host, who really isn't new because we've seen her before.
So I was actually introduced to this person who I will name at the end of this intro by Brent. And am I glad I was? Actually, I'll tell you. Not only is our new co-host brilliant in what she does, which is video production and teaching people how to do that, but she's also an extraordinarily smart and nice and I guess the best way is insightful and visionary person who gets how the world is changing, who gets what you have to do to have an impact in it. And you know what she is, which Brent and I are definitely not?
Young?
Organized.
Oh, okay.
She's organized, right? She literally knows how to do this the right way. So we thought, why just merely do this and bring her on as a guest every now and then? If she would honor us with being a co-host, that would be awesome. And she said yes. So with that, I'd like to introduce our new co-host, Monique Johnson.
And you know what else she isn't? She isn't a Patriots fan.
Right. So that just goes with even without saying at this point.
So glad. Right?
We never would have asked if we had any inkling she was.
That's
Hi,
true.
welcome. Yay.
Yes,
welcome,
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you both for having me. It's a pleasure for you all to have me included. I love what you all have been doing for so many years now. I don't even know how long it's been.
All right, we can just chill out on the so many years thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been over. It's pre-pandemic. Okay, so I'll just say that. How about that? Pre-pandemic. Okay.
Pre-Spanish flu.
Yeah, like 1918 pre-pandemic.
Spanish flu pandemic.
These guys have been around for so long. I mean,
no. I mean, as far as you both collaborating and just all what the things that you all do. So I'm honored to be here, and thank you so much for including me. I'm excited.
Apparently, Carrie Duke is very excited that you're joining us as well.
Oh, hey, Carrie. Yes, Carrie is amazing. Carrie is awesome.
So wait, who's Carrie? So tell us about him. I don't know.
So Carrie, we've met online. We were in a mastermind together. He helps a lot with if he still is doing this, but automation and AI for accountants and showing them the systematic way of running their business. So he's awesome. But if you learn about his story, because he used to do, it's not marathons, but like those mega marathons where you're doing a whole bunch of different types of
triathlons.
Thank you. Yes. He has an amazing story, and yeah, he's just an awesome individual overall. I hope I
Yeah,
got
you're
that right,
wonderful.
Carrie.
Harry, if you're still doing that, I may want to talk to you about a different show we do.
I was going to say, are you going to train to be doing Ironman competitions all of a sudden? Or?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know about that.
I'm Plastic Man competition.
Well, anyway, this is the first time this year that we've got together to talk about, geek out a little bit on the gear stuff. And I think because it just feels to me, and maybe you guys, share your thoughts on this, it just feels to me that this year there's been more events than I can remember, even going back to the pre-pandemic stage. Like we're still in March. We're barely
Right.
middle of March. I think I've already been on the road 4 times to stuff, and I'm getting ready to go to Adobe Summit next week after next. So it just feels like events definitely have recovered in terms of the number of events from pre-pandemic, but it also feels like I'm seeing more people try to do more with content creation at events. And
Mm,
we thought it would be kind of cool to talk about how you do that kind of stuff without breaking your budget or your back. I mean, last year we broke our backs, Paul. I mean, let's face it, we carried a
Oh
lot of
God,
stuff.
yeah, 70 pounds at one point in a
Yeah.
suitcase, right?
wow.
Yeah, yeah. It was mostly gear because we were carrying
Right.
lights and cameras and tripods. And since then, though, we've learned to let's say reduce the load quite a bit.
Well, I know I spent all of last year, from like June till now, my
Mhm.
whole thing, because June is when we carried the most. We went to
Okay.
Vegas. We carried like each of us apparently like 30, 40 pounds of stuff, maybe more. Uh, and ever since then, I've been on a mission to try to lighten the load. In addition to, just trying to figure out better ways to do stuff, do video stuff at all these events.
Hmm.
So does that make sense for us to kind of talk? Carrie, does this sound interesting to you? Let us know. Anybody else out there who you go to events and everybody's trying to create good content while you're at an event because it's a great opportunity. Lots of people
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
lots of stuff going on, and we
Sure.
figure we spend this one kind of talking about that.
Yeah, most definitely. And I would say it's going to be interesting because especially since you say, Brent, that there's a lot more conferences it seems like before the pandemic, because even before the pandemic, I would hit you up and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Vegas again for like the fifth time." And
You make
how
that
you
sound.
were
Wait a
going to
minute.
different
Time
things.
out. You
And
make that
so
sound like I was like excited about that. It's more like, yeah, I'm going to Vegas for the fifth time.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
That's
I
how I
know, I
remember
know.
saying
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. And I'm like, so for you to say that, because right now is prime conference time, and then I feel like October, September, the fall
yeah,
area is another big uptick
yeah.
before the end of the year. So the things that we're going to talk about, I feel, even if like some of you all are like, I don't know about this, or I want to try it out, well, you have some time for the next uptick for the second half of this year or latter half of this year. So I would love to dig in, and I don't know how you guys want to go about this. I have some visuals, I have some storytelling.
Take
We
it
can
away.
just, do that.
we'll follow your lead.
Yeah, remember we said you're the organized one here, so take it
All
away.
right. Okay. So, Brent, if you don't mind, you should see my presentation in the green room to like push up.
Do you see it?
Yep, I
Yeah,
see it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I just want to start off with the journey. And I will say this, and I apologize, Paul, because you and I have not officially met in person yet,
right.
unfortunately. Hopefully, we can change that soon. But I just want to talk about just a journey of not only starting with going to conferences and trying to create content, but also since I know Brent and have met him in person, we actually live in the same city. I have some things about like what he and I have worked on. So Brent, I hope you're ready for this. Okay. So we're going to go through this
I hope
quickly.
so too.
So I want to
Yeah.
talk about the journey and the fact that so much has changed, especially like with technology all the time. But this is like how I started with creating content. I just used my mini iPad, you all. I didn't have pro equipment as far as cameras and things like that. I just used an iPad and the software that was available. And so here's just an example of me. This is back in like 2016. Okay. So this is 2016, 2017 area. Okay. And I was just using my iPad, and people would actually have me come in and start doing it. And you'd be surprised as to what was available to us then. At this time, you know, this is just another screenshot, but I was using the software called Switcher Studio, which still exists today.
Yep.
And
I used that
this
for
is
a
what
while.
I was using. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I used that. I used that for a while. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So Switcher Studio, which is still around. I haven't used it in years since, but I thought it was really cool as to what I was able to do, create graphics, live stream, and just create content. And here's just an even example of using it in like a studio or kind of like at your home. It wasn't like something you only could use at a conference. And so, in fact, I don't know if you remember this, Brent,
Yeah, I
but
remember
there
that.
was a pop-up event, Salesforce, and Brent invited me to help create content. And we went live. And this is what I used, literally, was the Switcher Studio on my iPad and then additional smartphone. That was it. It was 2 devices. That's all I used. And as you can see here, you could do different angles. You could do close-ups. We see the amazing Brent Larry. Look at him emceeing right there on the stage, which is really, really cool, right?
What's really cool is apparently Brooks Robinson was on that
what a
panel.
great
I mean,
name.
now that's of course he's not the Brooks
Yeah.
Robinson. He's a nice guy.
So yes, and then I think the guy in the middle at the time, I don't know, but he was the COO of Salesforce at the time. I don't remember his name.
Sales Loft.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. So that's one thing. Another time you and I worked together, create content. It was another Salesforce event. I don't know if you remember this one. This one we had Grant Hill on the stage.
I forget Grant Hill? I mean, that was
I know, and you were emceeing and everything. And
that was fun.
What I'm showing you all is we're using Brent's Mevo camera. This is before Mevo had like they kind of blew up after this, where they had different cameras and all that. But I'm using an iPad with the Mevo app, and I'm helping to produce this for Brent as he is doing this panel talk with the wonderful Grant Hill on the panel. So this is, I just wanted to share like the initial journey. And in fact, I have one more thing. Using Mevo and using our wonderful friend here. I'm sure, Paul, you're familiar with him as well.
No.
Well, first of all, wonderful friend. I think you're overstating it just a tad, but
goodness. But we have the Colder Ice. John, does John even say that anymore? But at the time it was Colder Ice. John Lawson. And this is my first time going to Inbound. So this is 2017. And we went, and Brent was there as well. But Brent is producing this part using the Mevo camera and app. And then the next day I was able to help produce when it was just you and John, and using the Mevo app here. So I just wanted to share with you all, this is like the initial journey. This is what we were starting with. And it came out pretty good without having to just necessarily rely on heavy equipment. In fact, I remember when we went to Inbound or Boston on this trip, Brent, like I had a suitcase full of stuff and I thought I was going to break my back. And I didn't even end up using maybe not half of it.
Exactly. That always happens.
Always happens.
Always happens. Over preparing and things like that. But what I want to emphasize here, and I'm sure, and I would love for you both to chime in here, is when it comes to, especially no matter what type of tech or equipment that you all plan on bringing to an event, you must think of audio first, more so than anything else, right? Because there's always background noise. Even for me, my personal philosophy when it comes to video is audio comes first. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And all of what I shared with you all previously in those previous kind of demos and things, audio was there. It was either as a lavalier, there was either another microphone out of the shot, or we were able to plug in directly into the mixer at an official event. But I just wanted to get you all's thought as far as when you all are planning, you and Brent and Paul, do you guys think that audio is like the most important? I think it's very important, but I would love to know your thoughts.
I'll let Paul go and take this
Yeah, well, look, absolutely. Look, ultimately, let's say this: if video is poor, it's distracting, but people sometimes will still watch it. If audio is poor, they'll just stop listening because it's just it's horrible. On the negative side, it's horribly annoying. It's also why, let's say this: silent movies aren't very popular, but podcasts are, right? And the reality is, people, let's say, ingest information via audio, and when it boils down to it, the quality of that sound makes a huge difference. So again, it goes to the heart of everything we've always said. At the minimum, it's make sure the sound is good enough to not distract. Optimally, make sure it's good enough to be part of the overall experience. And we had a couple of months ago on the show, a few months ago, I think it was our last show of last year, was we had Curtis Judd on, and he's a sound and lighting expert, and he's like the guy that the sound and lighting experts go to when they would need an expert, right? And he's always emphasized, especially audio, and puts an enormous amount of time in using compressors and equalizer and every single thing you can do to fine tune that audio. So, no, by far, actually, as much as I don't like to say that, by far more important even than the video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it maybe a little bit further. I definitely agree with both of you. Audio is the most important aspect of video. It doesn't sound like intuitive, but it is. And it's so much easier to watch something that doesn't have the greatest video, but the audio is great, than the other way around. Like something has a great picture, but the audio is clipping or scratchy. I'm out. I can't take it.
Me too.
But now when we're talking about on the go, I take it to a little bit more of another level, which is I last year, I think I spent the last couple of months not only looking for good audio, on the go, but lightweight audio. So I'm gonna talk about it from I think I went from this, which is what is this guy? The Hollywood, not Hollywood. Hollyland, their wireless mic setup, which is in this box, and I'll open it up. It's not, the box doesn't appear to be that big, really, right? But this is the actual unit.
God.
In there, and then I open it up.
That's the charging box.
Well, that's the charging box, but inside the charging box, you see, you have two transmitters, which you would basically, the transmitters are the mics, and then there's a receiver, and that receiver is the big thing in the middle. That receiver has to be connected to your camera so that your camera will be able to pick up the audio coming from these two mics. Now, it doesn't look like a big setup, but this thing is actually pretty heavy because it's a battery charger, and then you put all these three things in there. So this thing gets to be pretty heavy. So you have to put this in your bag, and lugging this around when you have all these other stuff can be quite taxing. So I went from trying this out. The next thing I picked up was the Rode Wireless Pro device. So this comes with these two things. One is for charging the receivers, which you have two receivers, and one is for carrying around the transmitter. So once again, it's a little lighter, but it's still a little bulky because you still got these two things. At least you can kind of stack them or do whatever. But you still have a receiver that you have to connect to your camera, and then the two transmitters. Not bad. But what I finally ended up with And this is why I'm talking about also thinking about the lightweight aspect. At the end of last year, I bought this guy, which is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera. Now
We're going to
you're
talk
like,
about that in a moment. Actually, it's
Yeah.
included in this slide, so I'm
okay.
glad you're bringing this up.
Yeah, well, the reason why I had to bring this up with the audio is because this little slim device, and this is so easy to pick up and use. As a matter of fact, this is just an extra camera. So this is the actual, I mean, this is a battery pack. So this is the actual camera. But what makes this even lighter weight than the other two things that I got that I just showed you was this guy comes with its own receiver already built in.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't have to have that additional receiver to connect to the camera. It's already built in. So that makes using this with the actual mics, which are also smaller than the other two, so much easier to work with and to carry around. So that's why audio is important. And when you're going on the go, it's also lightweight audio that's important.
Right.
And we can
And
talk about the 32-bit wave stuff.
The other side, don't forget, is it's wireless audio, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all these things are wireless systems.
That's the other side. You're not dealing with a million cables, which are just annoying, basically. Although the one place where we've compromised at times, and it basically depends on when Brent and I are doing, for example, a paid engagement with a vendor, we tend to bring other equipment. And what we've done with audio there, though, is we don't use the wireless mics. We use a field recorder and lavalier mics. But we don't use what we don't use anymore, unless we have emergencies like we once did. What we don't use anymore is actual physical mics, like the one that's sitting in front here, or this one here, or something like that. We don't use them on the road. Because lavalier mics, look, there are some amazing sounding lavalier mics, and they all have their own purposes and beyond the scope of the show. But like, for example, we use these mics called Sanken, right? And they're lavs, and they plug into those units if we want to use them wirelessly. That mic in multiples.
Nice.
So, but again, the other thing you have to determine is the portability and lightweight. Not versus, because we've actually managed to do an and here, but sometimes the quality of the sound is going to be impeded by the lightweight of the actual stuff. Now, again, DJI wireless mics and Rode wireless mics are really good, and they're good even without an additional lavalier mic. But with that lavalier mic, the sound is exceptional and weighs almost nothing.
Yes, most definitely. In fact, I have some examples here where, in my opinion, and of course you all can disagree, and Paul, I know you're more into sound than I am, or audio rather. So these are the ones that I feel are great, especially for someone who's just starting out. And I had the mindset of, you're not trying to be like this professional, but something that's easy to use and very mobile. And so the lowest hanging fruit here is the upper left, where it's the Boya wireless microphones. They're only $30. Now, of course, when it comes to audio, and the saying, you get what you pay for, they're actually pretty solid for that price range. However, like Brent, you mentioned the DJI, that's in the lower left-hand corner. You can also get one where it's like two receivers, and then the Rode Wireless Go. I have that as well. I think they're so adorable in how you can clip them on or add a lav to it. And then I do still include, and I know, Paul, you just said, at least for you all, you don't necessarily bring.
When we're traveling light.
Yeah, when you're traveling light. But even then, for me, anytime I travel and I know I have to be on a Zoom call, or I'm going to be in a conference or anything like that, I always bring the mic that you see in the upper right-hand corner. In fact, that's what I'm using right now, even though I have other kinds. And that is the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X, because of the fact that, number one, it's so light. Number two, it has two connections, the usual coaxial type, and then USB or USB-C. So you have that, option. And then because it's so light, even I have like connected this thing directly to my phone. If I'm live streaming, it doesn't even necessarily have to be an official camera. I always just like to have that as an option just in case, because to me, it's not heavy at all. And I just put the one, which I think is kind of overkill, but the Shure V7. The reason why I use that one is because if you use the SM7B, you only have one connection type. You got to have some sort of mixer. But again, with this particular mic, you have two types of connections. It's either USB-C or the coaxial type. So that's what I kind of just wanted to summarize here, that actually all of us ended up pointing out the different like pros and cons of the various types of audio devices. So what do you guys think about that? Go ahead.
I'm gonna just I realized when I was talking and trying to show my mics off that the slide was up, so it's still kind of small in the corner. So I'm gonna do this. So these are the two I think that we just talked about. This is well, this one is the Rode Wireless Pro. So that's a little the one slightly above the one that you just talked about, but they're about the same size.
Right.
And then there's the DJI Osmo. This is the DJI Osmo. I mean, the DJI Mic 2. This mic, the Mic 2 goes with the Pocket 3. I know it's kind of confusing and all that.
Well, it comes with the Pocket 3, right? One transmitter.
Well, yeah, but if the Pocket 3 can take up to two, connected up to two Mic 2s. There is a Mic 1 that goes with the previous versions of the Pocket cameras, but look at this. There's a size difference.
So cute. But they're so cute, though. They're so cute to me.
And it has, I think, is it the DJI 2 has a, is it that one that has a magnetic clip that you can?
So they both have magnetic clips.
No, but I mean,
so does the Rodes. The Rodes come with magnetic clips now too.
But here's the difference. You have to have the receiver and the transmitter. So you have to carry that. Whereas with this, because the receiver is built into the actual camera, all you need is these little guys. Right. That makes, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's a big difference, but when you're carrying a bunch of stuff around, every little thing counts.
So
and again, that's only if you have the Osmo Pocket 3. You also don't think, if you don't have that camera and you just want to use your phone or something else, you're gonna have to get the receiver and transmitter just like you would for Rode.
Also, the limitation on these things, because we should point them out, is they handle each receiver handles up to 2 transmitters. Okay, if you're doing interviews with 3 or 4 people, it doesn't work quite as well.
Right.
Right. So, and it actually is not it's not uncomplicated to get 2 different frequencies working on 2 receivers, even though sometimes it seems to be easy. Just use 2 receivers. But if they're on the same frequency, there's going to be a problem. So
one trick that I use though with that is if I had more than one person, the cool thing about the Wireless Pro is that it actually, you could buy this little $20 stick adapter, so you could actually put one of those right on like a microphone stick, and instead of having it connected to one person, you could actually use it like you're interviewing them, so you could just go back and forth with them, which for $20 that solves some of those issues.
It turns the Wireless Pro into a handheld mic. Is what it does.
Absolutely
right. It's it's like 20. I think it's what, $29.99 or something.
Something like that. I have that too somewhere. I have that as well, just not nearby within.
Yeah, and that's a good way to get around it. Again, depending on what you have to do when you get there, and people should just be aware of what the limitations are too, because from a convenience standpoint, there's probably no way to even get it. I can't imagine anything more convenient other than implanted in your hand, right? So. Other than that, it's not getting a whole lot more convenient than it is already. So, and the only other thing I would say is, if you're fairly new at this stuff, but you have a little bit of money to spend, kick it up to if you're going on the Rode side, kick it up to the Wireless Pro, because it has what they call 32-bit float, and that would literally, I mean, it's more to it than I'm about to say, but it literally will automatically prevent that clipping stuff that goes on with it. Sometimes if it's too loud,
Right.
you lose some of the conversation because that's what they call clipping, because it went beyond the frequency or the range it can handle. So this thing literally will automatically bring it back down to where it belongs. So you might be too loud, but when you play it back, it will be fine, right? And when you're playing it will be fine. So it's worth considering that if you feel like getting a little more complicated.
Yep.
One last thing to add about whatever mic you get. When you're out doing these, like you're at a conference and you're out and about and you're doing these interviews, and I actually like having a little bit of ambient sound behind me, like the millings and what's going on in the conference. But sometimes people, sometimes it gets a little too loud. And what the other piece of the puzzle, in addition to the actual hardware device of the mic that I started using, and I use this and it does a great job, and it's actually free. At least I think it's free. Adobe puts out these tools, and one of them is called the Audio Enhance tool.
It's
and
free.
if you go to, matter of fact, I think I'll be able to bring it up. But if you go to,
I think isn't it like Adobe Podcast now or something like that? They changed the name.
Yeah, it's podcast.adobe.com/enhance.
Okay.
And what that does is it'll actually, with all this AI going on, you can take the audio file that came from your recording, run it through this thing, and it'll actually clean up the audio and make it even sound like
studio
100% better.
Studio quality.
Yeah, and it like a 10 to 15 minute audio file. It takes only a couple minutes to have it analyzed through the AI, and then it comes back and it lets you tune it too. It'll let you, it defaults to 90% cleaned up. You can do 80, 85. Sometimes if you do it too much, it garbles up a little bit of the audio. So you got to figure out what percentage your works for you. But it's another one of those things that will enhance your content so that when people watch, they're like, wow, that audio was so good. How did you do that? You're outside with all these people. And they're like, hey, don't worry about it. We're pros here.
The one thing though, that again, I'll be the water thrower here on this one. It's a great tool, but it's a great tool for voice only, right? Meaning if you have someone singing music, it's going to ruin the music completely.
You don't want to do that.
That's literally happened to me. So,
yeah, this is strictly for voice. Absolutely.
For voice. Yeah, no, that's a good point. With that said, because I know we focused a lot on audio. Oh, well, we'll have Brent show us real quick.
There it is. I'm trying to get that up.
Okay. Awesome. The reason why we're spending so much time on audio is that's how important it is. And you can only imagine being in a conference, trade show, whatever size of a conference, you want to make sure you are definitely putting your audio hat on. I feel like, which is, we're going to segue into this next portion here and probably actually kind of move kind of quickly, but I don't know about you guys, but especially when I know I'm traveling or I know I have to go to a conference, I always have this predicament in my head about, am I going to do smartphone focus versus going pro? As we know, as all three of us, we were just talking about how, pre-pandemic, or even I'm sure you guys said last year, how you're carrying 70-pound equipment, there's that focus of some people wanting to go pro and saying there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We want to do pro. We're doing pro equipment. There's no room for anything else. And so I wanted to find out from you all, do you go through that same kind of conversation in your head when you're getting ready to go for a conference?
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I know that the smartphone's always available to me when I'm there because I have one and works great. And with the Blackmagic camera app, This thing,
Yes.
it makes your phone operate like as if you were dealing with at least let's call it a low-end pro camera, right?
Sure.
That app is astounding and highly recommended, and it's not complicated.
Mhm.
That said, right to the point that Brent was making earlier, and you were making earlier with the Pocket 3 and cameras of that size,
Mhm.
even though they may not be enough for like a major shoot, there's certainly enough for most things we're doing in a, let's call it AAA to new rookie in the majors level, right? And that's more than you need, right? Typically at a conference, especially since most people aren't going to conference to shoot video per se, but they just pick up their phone and shoot it.
Right.
So when I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty much know I have the smartphone, but I'm going to bring something
Right.
to be more than that.
Okay. Okay.
And for
Um,
me,
yeah,
this is
Brent.
my go-to right now. This guy,
Right.
it's just so convenient.
Exactly.
It's lightweight. It comes with this little, I'll flip it out that you can see. So this is all it takes to turn it on. You just flip the
Mhm.
thing and it comes on. It's got its own little gimbal. It'll do face tracking. It has
Yep.
the receiver built in, so it's very easy to, once you turn on the mic, it's already connected. You're ready to go. And then the last part about it is you can shoot, which I doubt most people that are listening to us, you can shoot in log film formats. So that means you can do color grading and you really do all that stuff that the professional folks do. But with a camera, the camera itself is $519. I bought the creator kit, which is $669, but
Yeah,
that
I was
gives
like,
you the
I actually
additional
thought
battery at the
699.
bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, with a
yeah.
tripod too, stand.
The tripod, and I think the
The
DJI
receiver.
comes with the
Right.
creator kit. The other side of that too is there's other, portability is like the big thing even among the pros. So I mean, here's another one, right? This is a PTZ camera actually.
Oh,
Tiny
I
little,
would that's covered next. Oh my goodness, I'm so
wow.
glad we're on the same
Well, I'll
wavelength.
wait. You know what? I will go with your plan and I'll wait.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that's coming up in just a moment. But you brought up the Black Magic camera app, Paul. And so there's different camera apps out there. There's Filmic Pro, there's Moment, there's all these different things. And so I recently discovered a new app. The only caveat is it's iOS only. So sorry, people, if you're Android, it's not going to work, unfortunately. But this new app, and I kind of want to share with you guys real quickly before we actually get to the devices, because yes, the Osmos, the Tiny Cam, all those different ones, the
Osmo and
Osbot. Sorry,
Osbot.
yeah, the Osbot is what I
The
meant to
Wizard of
say.
Oz.
Yes, with the PTZ. So I wanted to find out from you guys if you ever heard of this app. So here we go. I first want to share this with you. So there's this a podcaster. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him, named Rich Roll. And he's pretty much been doing the short form content from his podcast where you see where he has the full wide angle and then it's pretty much interlaced with a close up or a different angle of either himself, which is Rich is on the right, and then the guest on the left. And here's another example with another guest that he has on here. And the reason why I want to bring this up is here he literally takes his podcast, put it on YouTube. You all could do the same thing with a conference and, still have the different camera angles and all of that. But then he again takes all of that and turn it into short form content, whether it's Reels or YouTube Shorts, because those are the two main platforms that he's on, and able to make it all work. Well, I discovered a tool because you can do this. You can do this in like Premiere Pro or Final Cut. It's going to take more steps and you got to know what you're doing. But here's an app that pretty much allows you to do that. So this app is called Detail. Have you guys heard of Detail?
I haven't. No.
Got me here.
Okay. So Detail, this is just showing you real quick how you could do something similar. You can actually make it really easy, and all of the editing, recording, different angles can be done on your phone directly. And I think this thing is so amazing. Here's another example of someone utilizing this. Say you're at a conference and you are a speaker and you want to capture those two angles. This one is pretty much showing you how to go about doing that using two phones. And they're able to talk to each other. And as he's showing you right here, here he is able to stitch it together, just like what I just shared with you in that podcast. Then you see that there's that Boya and the DJI microphones that he's using and making sure to showcase. But I really love this app. I've been having a lot of fun with it. There's AI components to it for editing. You can do teleprompter on it. You can do captions. And then the different angles. Also, the other you can as long as another phone has the app, you can literally interview someone in a completely different location. And so I think this app is something that will really help for anyone. And I know a lot of this is showing like the vertical, but you can also do it horizontally as well. And what I love about this app is, let's just say there were some angles or just some footage you didn't like. You always have the opportunity in post within the app to change it. And I love that so much, versus a lot of times it's like, oh, you get what you get. But with this particular app, it's like it has a full out editing system all within itself. And there's so many different things. You can even pair it with your laptop or an iPad. Again, it's all within, unfortunately, for those who are Android and PC users, it's all within the Mac OS or iOS ecosystem. But I just feel like it gives you so much flexibility, and especially in environments where it's a conference. So I just wanted to introduce that to you all. I'm not sure what you guys think about it now that you've seen it.
You want to hear the sad thing? I went to download it, and I went to the app store to download it, and you know what it said? Open. Meaning as I downloaded it a long time ago.
Oh, you have it.
I already have it, and I've never even looked at it. I apparently saw it somewhere, said, "Oh, that looks cool," and downloaded and forgot about it.
That's
so thank
funny.
you.
Yes, that is funny. That is funny. But yes, they're a company. I think they're located in the Netherlands. But as you can even see with this video on the left, you can, really just set up something simple and really make it work for you. And this app, you can do so many different things with it. So I wanted to bring this to as like a new gift to those who are not familiar, to definitely check out this amazing app when it comes to smartphones, that is.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I might pick it up. I have kind of moved my workflow because I like, this is going to sound funny and all, but I actually like using my phone while I'm doing the video stuff. That's why I really do like what's going on with the Osmo. But I think that's great. The phone and the apps they've come up with these phones and the ability of these phones to do video. Paul, you have the latest one, don't you? The 15?
The 15.
That's pretty amazing what you can do with these phones now.
Oh yeah,
and you can shoot log with it now, right, Paul? Because I think my husband, absolutely, he has it, but I don't have it.
Well, I only bought it because I literally I wasn't planning on buying it. I had 13, but because of all the stuff we do with our phones, especially with VPN stuff, unbeknownst to me until it became known, I ran out of space on the phone. I literally had I had a 256 gig phone and completely ran out of space.
That's something we might need to touch on too. Like if you're planning on doing, or if you want to do video, and the one thing you may not realize is the better the video quality that you shoot, the bigger these files get.
Yes.
And they're huge.
I'll say the Pocket 3, I use this a lot, and this can shoot 4K 60 frames per second. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And then I shoot a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah.
15 gigabytes.
Wow.
Just for that 15-minute conversation.
And
Right.
that brings in considerations, and I hate to make it tough on all the people out here who just want to do, shoot with their phone and stuff, but consideration of when you need to move that amount of data somewhere from your phone
Right.
to something else, it can take you either hours or minutes or days sometimes if it's really
Yes.
big.
Or if
And
you're lucky, these things take micro SD cards, so you can just
Well,
swap
I
them
was
out.
gonna
well,
say
that's the
micro
other side.
SD. Yeah.
Well, but
But
even
even
there are limits on the
but
size
even
of the SD card they'll take.
right. And I would say at least with the iPhone, because Android users, I know you guys are like, oh, we've been had this, but the newest iPhone now has USB-C connections, which
Yep.
is
Makes it even
opens
worse.
it up for iPhone users to connect external SD cards. So you don't solely rely on whatever you bought within your phone. So it's
And
definitely opened up a world, at least on
to be
the
honest,
iPhone side.
I ended up buying a terabyte this time, right? Just because,
Wow.
well, I got a deal that's sort of unbelievable with the trade-in. Basically,
Okay.
the phone ended up costing me $180, right? For a terabyte. I got a huge trade-in. Then with Verizon, they gave me this odd deal where if I did it, I was willing to add it to my phone bill, $5 a month for 36 months, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's
Wow.
also 300 or 400 off just from the base price to begin with.
Nice. Because I know we're getting close to the end of time. We finally are going to get to what we've pretty much been talking about throughout this whole thing. So this time I want to kind of talk about smartphone versus mobile. So in my opinion, right, like what you all have demonstrated, the Pocket 3, the Ozbot, I put that in like more of the mobile world, mobile cameras, meaning they're smaller cameras, still a camera versus smartphone. And what I would love for us to tackle here, and I'm so glad you both have great examples, is let's talk about the PTZ cameras, right? So in my strongest opinion, because there's so many different ones out there, the two main competitors out there is the Ozbot. The most recent one is the Ozbot Tiny 2, and then the Insta360 Link, right? And I have the Ozbot Tiny 1, but Paul, I believe you just shared with us, if you want to showcase that real quick to us. Brent, if you want to take off the slides and have Paul appear large so that he can showcase to us the Ozbot.
So now, as who was it? Monty points out, this is the Ozbot Tail Air. Okay,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right. The thing about this is that it's highly, it's really a PT, not so much Z camera, right?
Okay.
Because the zoom is all digital, really. It's 100% digital. You don't see anything. The lens is a fixed lens. It's entirely wireless, right? I can run it right now the way it is. You can literally, as with the Osmo, you can, even though not recommended, but you can broadcast directly to, let's say, YouTube from the camera with no other intervening hardware whatsoever. It also goes up to 460K, and the advantage of a pan, tilt, and zoom camera is exactly what it sounds like. You can move up, you can move down, it can move sideways, it can move in, it can move out, and this is a fairly industrial camera for the size. If you go and look at the reviews of the Tail Air, you'll see a lot. The professional videographers are using it on their shoots because it functions as it's not anywhere near as expensive as a full PTZ camera out there. I mean, they typically can run $2, $3, $5, and $8,000. This thing runs like, I think, if I remember correctly, 549, or no, I think it's a little more than that.
Oh yeah, sorry. The one that you have, yes. Sorry, the one that I have, the one that I was referring to. Sorry, the 2 is like around 300, and then 329.99, and then 300 for the Insta360 one. And in fact, go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, I was just noticing Monty came up. He said that he used his this week to record BTS of his client production, right?
Oh yes.
I think Monty. I think if you do something on YouTube, I think I've watched you before.
Oh,
For
Monty. Sorry. Hey, Monty.
Right.
How are you? I'm familiar with Monty. We've never met in person because I was like, how come I know that name, Monty? I was not paying attention to.
I am
So
100%
yes.
certain that he broadcasts on YouTube a lot.
Yes. He does a lot
And
of
he
YouTube
he talks about
tutorials.
stuff like,
Yes, just what
yeah,
we're talking about. Yes. So
right.
he's very much
I've seen him.
familiar.
I've seen him.
Yes.
Nice.
He's good. He's very good.
Yes.
Monty,
Well, thanks for joining us there, Monty.
Yeah.
the guy's a star. But to
Definitely.
his point, like for example, one of the reasons that people use the full bore PTZ cameras will be like in churches. They use a lot of them in churches because they get the big stage and the ability to zoom in and the ability to pan across the stage and so on and so forth. And the thing is that, I knew it was you. I thank you. And by the way, you are genuinely really good.
Wait, give us the channel URL.
Yeah,
so we can
put it in so we can show it. So, and the thing with this that makes this such a valuable little camera is it can handle that kind of big stage production easily. Each cameras have their own benefit, obviously. You know, one of the things Brent's done, they've been great, is the guy pops the Pocket 3 onto a tripod, and he's got this outdoor made a few good minutes. And what's that tripod weigh? Like 2 pounds, 1.5 pounds, something like that.
More like 1.5 pounds. So this is by the end of the year. This is what my mobile rig became. I could put this little guy that's like less than 1 pound or 1 pound or something on top of this tripod that's about 1.5 pounds, and my travel is set because I don't really need a whole bunch else other than these two things.
As long as the 1080p is high quality, and this thing can handle the larger stage areas and things like that. That's one of the things it does very well. And actually, I have a tripod. Another example of Brent's thing too is this one, the VEO3 series. This thing weighs 1.3 pounds with the case, right? It's like nothing. And Brent's the one who inspired me to go find a really light tripod, and I've used this I brought this to Zoho Zoho Day 24. Never used it. Right, the tripod I didn't have yet. I have this tripod now. Next trip I take, which is to Sugar CRM, coming up at the end of March. I'm going to bring these two with me and see what I can do with it. Right now it's in testing mode, but I've seen the tail air in action. And I really, if you're going to be shooting a conference as opposed to interviews at a conference, if you're actually going to shoot a conference and you really want something lightweight and portable, I mean, it's got some limitations, of course, but on the whole, I would definitely recommend this camera, the tail air. It's a remarkable camera. Highly recommend that you go online and read the reviews too, because they're pretty amazing.
Brent, if you could bring up the slides real quick. I also want to just, for those who are like, I don't even want heavy duty tripods, I want to just introduce these two different ones. They're definitely on the lower end, but the reason why, I'm a tall person, at least as a woman, I'm 5'10", and then with heels, I'm taller than that. What I love about these two tripods, because tripods can be limiting in height. The one on the right, I believe, goes up to 80 inches tall. Wow. And the one on the left goes up to 60 inches tall, believe it or not. So to me, I'm like, hey, that is perfect for tall people, because tall people, unfortunately, get short-sighted in a lot of these type of products and other things. That's a whole nother story, but I wanted to introduce that. So this one is the Foxola, Foxola is the one on the left. Comes with a remote, little carrying case. It's cute and all that. And then if you guys are familiar with Ulanzi, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's the one on the right that's really tall. So what I love about these, and I've seen someone do it, is they took the Osbot, and that's the thing, the Osbot, the Osmo, these different devices, they all have the universal screw at the bottom so that you can tie it or, screw it onto any tripod, any one that you see here. And also what Paul and Brent mentioned, it's a universal screw size so that you can just pop it right on. You don't have to worry about, oh yeah, it's so small, how am I going to get these angles? You got to at least include some sort of tripod with it. So I just wanted to introduce that to you guys. Now, because for the sake of time, I had some like demos and even showing people more in detail, especially with the Insta360, what it can do. I love this whiteboard mode that it's awesome about, but and really showing you because, like for instance, this is Chris Doe from Future, and this is him going to Adobe Max. And this helped him actually blow up, I feel like, online, because he would have a booth and have like these mini whiteboard sessions where he's breaking people's businesses down. And I love how you could use a PTZ camera instead of relying on bringing a camera person and having the active tracking and being able to follow you as you're doing these presentations. Yeah. Another type of camera that I want to kind of put out there are 360 cameras. Have either of you played around with those at all?
I had a chance to play around with one, but I don't use. I didn't. I had like a 30 seconds. So the answer,
okay,
not really.
Okay. What about you, Brent?
No, I've been so stuck in Panasonic land the last year and a half.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I don't actually own one, but I've had a chance to play with them or at least see what they can do. I think Insta360, the company, is pretty much the most popular. Of course, there's other ones out there, but I first discovered this from a friend of mine, Andrew, where he does training and marathons. But what I love was like the camera angles and how even in some ways he can make it look like it's a drone shot. And I was like, what kind of camera is that? And he said it's a 360 camera. And so I feel like being at a conference, you could utilize this camera to get so many different unique angles, whether that's interviewing, that's you walking around, anything like that. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. But last but not the very least, we've already been talking about this. I'm going to let Brent take over here. But the DJI Osmo, 3 on the right, 2 on the left. 2 is so much cheaper now that the 3 is out, right. But they're both can do 4K. I know 3 has more upgrades. It doesn't have the stand that comes with it. And of course, it doesn't have the swivel screen. But Brent, I would love for you to just talk about how you're loving the Osmo 3, Pocket 3 right now.
Well, if I haven't already mentioned it, yeah, I am loving it. Kind of hard to. But no, what I love about it is, once again, I spent most of last year really looking to decrease the amount of stuff I had to carry and the weight I had to carry. And so this little device here, I was carrying a polo. What I was talking about, what was that last camera? The one I'm using now. I was carrying on the Panasonic S5 2X or X2X, whatever it is. I was carrying around that, which is not a huge camera, but it's a sizable camera. But you have to carry around lenses. Mm-hmm. You have to carry around batteries. You have to carry around HDMI cables. You have to have a decent, really, a tripod that will definitely be able to hold all that stuff. And some instances I had to carry around light. Yes. And once you get all that, it's like 30, 40 pounds of stuff.
The light's the backbreaker.
Yeah, the lights.
Yes, most definitely.
But you know what? The batteries, those big 99-hour battery.
Yeah, Sony,
all that stuff, just still those V-mount batteries, they all add weight and girth to your bags, and so it becomes really hard to do. And then the other part of that is you got to set all that nonsense up, and it takes a lot of time for it to set it up.
Tell them, just to give you an idea of the weight, when Brent and I were at Dreamforce last year, we literally had to walk from Moscone all the way to Salesforce Towers, which is without anything, 20 minutes walk. And we had to go back and forth with all our bags, doing this back and forth.
Yeah. So I wanted something that was easy to carry, easy to set up, didn't make it where I had to have all these, additional accessories. And so by the end of the year, they came out towards the end of these last year.
Mhm.
And look at the size of this thing. I
I
mean,
know.
it's so small, and it's
Thank
got the gimbal, and it's got a nice size, like a 1-inch monitor, and so you can see
Mhm.
exactly what it's going to look like. They have little, you can put on a little filter. They have the NDI filters, the black mist filter, or you can put on a wide angle lens. So this sucker can get you can put a 15 millimeter wide angle lens that snaps right onto the front. So although it looks so small, you can get a lot into
Powerful.
the frame. And then
Yes.
you can also easy to set up with the mics because there's a receiver built into this. So this is why this is worth the 619 or 69 bucks I paid,
It's 90. It's
because
right now it's 700. I looked it up. I was like,
so it
"Woo!"
went up because when I bought it, I
Yes.
think it was 669 or something like
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Uh, but the mics are even smaller than the other mics we talked about. So it's not only does it give you great video and great
Mhm.
audio, it just frees you up. So literally, when I went and tried, I wanted the last thing of the year. I was like, I'm just going to use this and want to see how I make out with it. I just stuck it on top of this guy, and this guy is small, and it folds up. So I have this in a backpack. I didn't
Yep.
have to put it in my bag. I put in a backpack. I put this little tube thing in, and that's it. That's all I had to worry about. And
Now,
it was so easy to 5 minutes. All right, I'm ready to go. Usually it would be like, give me 30 minutes to set everything up. So
the caveats for all of these things is, even though you technically can live stream to at least YouTube with them, if you're in the business tech world like we are, we need to be able to live stream to LinkedIn, and we can't.
well,
Uh,
you could because you
Yeah,
can
you can.
actually use this as a webcam. So if you
that's
bring your laptop,
again,
then you can
that,
even do that. My
that's it.
my
That's the
my
point
thing
of
right
where we're
now
going.
is I'd rather just record because
Yeah, but we're gonna have to be live
no, I'm
streaming it.
just saying this is why I like it.
Right.
I'm saying, I like it because now if I a lot of times you don't the best part of live streaming is if you are really infected, really looking to fully engage with the audience. If you're
Right.
not going to be able to do that, then just record it because you're not there to be able to look at the questions and to pop them up on the screen. You can just have your conversation, and this
Mhm.
makes it so easy. And now instead of spending time and effort thinking about I'm going to take this, I need to make sure I bring this, and I got to make sure I have enough time for setup. Now I can actually concentrate on the conversation, and that's the best
Right.
important part. So now I can say, "Ooh, this is a cool location. I don't need to worry about wired connections. I don't need to worry about power. All I need to know is, all right, let's go here. The sun is great here. This is such a cool spot. Set things up, have a great conversation, as opposed to
All
thinking of
that
all these other things that
the caveat
really
there, though.
made it harder for me to do what I really want to do."
I'm going to keep the caveats there nonetheless, because when we do watch parties, we can't use those, right? Not unless we use them as webcams, right?
Well, I
So,
mean, yeah, you would need a computer. I was gonna say, so
well,
don't say
that's
you
the thing,
can't. Just bring a
right? That's
computer.
well. Again, all of these have huge advantages and
Yeah.
some disadvantages
Well,
too.
you always, I mean, I don't ever travel without a laptop, but what I'm
Right.
saying is I don't have to
Right.
carry my laptop with me at the shoot. I have the
Mhm.
record, what I traditionally do is record, take that card out, put it
Right.
into the laptop, and now I'm ready to do what I need to do.
Right. But with that said, and was just to wrap everything up, because I know we're a little over time here. Based on what we've said thus far, I want to ask both you, Brent and Paul. You all have a lot of conferences coming up now. You got the juices flowing now. You're getting re-excited about using these lighter equipment. Do you all see yourselves using them more this year than having to lug around the pro stuff?
I mean, from my standpoint, I'm trying to retire, so I'm going to go to less conferences. But let's say the default would be to lighter, but there are going to be times where we're going to need heavier, right? The
Sure.
bigger stuff just going to happen,
Mhm.
especially when one of the ways we deal with that is if we get a paid shoot of some kind. Usually it could be a paid stream. It's typically
Mhm.
a paid stream. We try to get the vendor to provide the camera crews, right? Which
Mm.
take a lot of burden off us at that
Mhm.
point. When we can't, we'll have to bring the things that allow us to do a good live shoot, whatever it takes. The Osbot or the Osmo Pocket 3 right now, as far as live stream, they're question marks for us. We haven't done it that way yet. I'm sure we'll test that. At the same time, if it's a paid engagement, we have to be careful that we're not testing on a paid engagement. So by then we'll know one way or the other whether it's usable that way or not. So the answer is yes, with constraints.
Sure.
I'll take it a step further. I'm pretty comfortable after playing with this that you can use it as a webcam, so you can connect it directly to your laptop and then use it as a webcam, which is a great webcam because you can do 4K, 60 video.
Yeah.
But you can also buy an adapter so that you can connect the Pocket 3 to an ATEM device, and then now it's the same thing. It's just the same kind of connection as a regular camera. I haven't tried it on a site yet, but that's what those adapters are there for, to make it easy to connect a USB device to an HDMI device so that you can do videos.
I'm a little less enthused at this point yet. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I need to see it in action because somebody's paying us to do something, right? So we need to make sure it's at the quality. We have streamed in insane different kinds of environments. No light, barely light, some light, too much light, bad sound, high ceilings, low ceilings, and it's always, you have to figure out how to adapt. Again, the best solution, get the vendor to provide us with the crew. And we've managed to do that sometimes.
Yeah, but if you're just going to attending a conference,
that's different.
Yeah,
right.
And I think most of the people that are
and that's what
that's doing that as opposed to that.
Different. If you look, go light. If you going light's a lot better than what we were doing, because it's like 10 pounds. Well, it's probably more than 10 all in all, but let's say 15 pounds versus 70, right? And that's a monster difference, and your life will be prolonged.
All right, I love it.
All right, yeah, we went a little long, but it was good stuff. Lots of interesting things, and I got to check out Monty's YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. Yeah. I've watched him a bunch of times.
You both have vouched for him, so I definitely have to watch it. All right, this has been great. Are we going to try to do this like monthly? Is that what our goal is? Well, of course, our co-host does have other things pending that.
Yeah, but let's definitely try to get one in next month for sure.
Okay.
And then take a little break and then come back fall time, and I think we'll be good. Yeah,
that'll be awesome.
Alrighty. All right. Well, on behalf of Monique, I'm Brent.
No, we have to figure out how to end differently.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
really on behalf of Monique because she's a host.
Oh,
so
well, all right. Well,
you say
you take us out, Monique.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh goodness. I don't have any quirky thing to say. I just gonna say, thank you to everyone who's watching us live, or even if you're watching us on the replay. This is something that, as you all can see, we love to geek about. We always have fun when we do these type of things. I'm glad that we have finally made it something more permanent, or official rather, now that we're all three of us are co-hosts together. And I'm looking forward, like Brent and Paul, since we are in the conference season, I look forward to seeing the behind the scenes and what you both will be doing. So please don't be shy about that. And thank you so much. Go ahead.
I said, I know what you'll be doing during conference.
Yes. But thank you to everyone that's here. We're going to have a lot of fun for the rest of the year, and just talking about, getting out of that rabbit hole of when it comes to tech gear, and hence why we're doing this show.
That's a good one.
See ya.
Take care now.